Here at home, there is no snow, just patches of ice out there, but both elements are hard to drive in, especially for us here in Oklahoma, where we don't get tons of winter weather every year. Here with some safe driving tips and to talk about, how they deal with calls when they go out there in cold conditions, Battalion Chief Tommy Iago with the Oklahoma City Fire Department. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Let's talk about this morning. We know the roads were very slick out there. Did you respond to several calls?
Yes, we did. We responded to several calls this morning, mostly out on I-40 and 240 in that area.
What were you seeing when you went out to these calls? How were drivers getting themselves in these situations?
Well, it's simply just driving too fast for the conditions, following too close. They might have thought the roads were dry, but once they got to a bridge, they were actually slick, and that's where most of the accidents were this morning.
And what were you seeing? Were you seeing people just careening off the road, flipping over?
And we've seen a variety of everything. We've seen cars turned over, we've seen cars off the road, but it was a wide variety this morning. We've had several cars turn over this morning.
Were the drivers scared? Is this something, obviously, if your car flips over, I mean, that must be pretty scary.
Yes, it was. To my knowledge, we didn't have any severe injuries to any of these people, or most of them were just minor injuries, but the streets were very slick this morning and people were just driving entirely too fast.
And you were on your way in here this afternoon for the interview. How are road conditions right now? They're a little better?
Yeah, the road conditions are much better now. Obviously, some of the bridges are still a little slick, and if we get some more precipitation this afternoon, then it's going to start all over again.
Yeah. What do firefighters deal with when they go on these calls during cold weather?
Well, actually, the cold weather really doesn't bother us that much. It's once we get on the scene and we really create our own hazard as far as spraying water, and then we have, treacherous conditions that we have to pull hoses on a slippery conditions, climb up on the roof, and, it exerts a lot more willpower from the firefighters, and it exerts lots more energy. So we have to call in additional manpower when it gets icy conditions.
And so how does that work when you call in additional manpower? I mean, do you have the resources to call in, several firefighters that aren't usually on duty at that time? It's their couple of days off.
Well, we won't call people in on their day off. We'll call additional companies that are on duty. We'll probably call half as many companies as we did on the original alarm, and it's just to help out for the manpower on pulling hose, and we exert a lot more when we're pulling hoses and slipping around. It's treacherous and it's hard on the firefighters.
Right, hard on the firefighters and obviously the drivers who are going to be out there. We talk about this every year when the roads get slick out there, and I know you were on a lot of calls this morning. What can drivers do to stay safe?
Just have your car warmed up, make sure it's full of gas, make sure you have a cell phone in case you do run into problems. But it seemed like this morning that a lot of the cars weren't warmed up and their defrost wasn't working, and their windshield was icing over, and they were trying to peep out a little bitty hole, and that seemed to be the big hazard as was this morning.
Right, I talked to someone who defrosted their window, and then when they were on the drive, so much ice or debris got kicked up on the window, they had to pull off the road and scrape it again.
Exactly. I saw several cars like that on my way in, just pulling over, just because they couldn't see, it just iced over.
All right. We appreciate you coming in today.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the tips. And don't forget